We are live. So, we streamed not that long ago, and we are going to jump into the game here really quickly. And I'm just going to give a bit of a recap. So, we just finished fighting Koro and his lackeys, for lack of a better term. And Callisteg and Alagorn argued a little bit. He believed that she set us up. I don't agree. I don't think that that was what happened in this scenario, but he did, and they decided that they couldn't travel together anymore. So I had to choose one of them or neither of them, and I did choose to go with Callisteg. For now, I feel like I want to check out the Order of the Truth first before I do any investigation with the cultists, and we may not go down that route at all. We'll have to see. So we're gonna head into the city for the first time and check out what's going on there. We'll see what Callisteg has to say, and we can go back and find Alagorn if we choose to. So we're going to, I don't really trust either of them, and I haven't for the duration since we met them. And, well, we're just going to see kind of what happens as we move further in the game with Callisteg and see if we decide that we trust her. So I don't think there was anything else. I think we checked out everything here. I don't want to do anything with this weapon. I think that was primarily for the combat, and we checked out all these other things, these broken down turrets. This one appears to still be functional, but we don't need it anymore because we are not fighting anymore. So we're going to leave the area.
Now.
If an enemy is armored, change up the damage types of your attacks with abilities or ciphers to overcome it. Good tip. We seek the Order of Truth, so we must first reach Government Square. The easiest way is via the staircase by the old clock. So, we unlocked some codex entries here. So maybe we'll check those out in a little bit and see what information we've got from coming into the city. So it appears that there's a collection of people over here. I'm not sure what is going on. We'll probably go over and check that out to start with. But that being said, we know we have to go to the Government Square, and I don't know if we're going to rush into it too quickly. There's, I think, a lot that we're going to want to explore and check out. Now, we do have to worry about the Sorrow, so we'll see if there's any pressure that comes from there, because it sounds like we wanted to take care of that quickly. But I really like to kind of go around and check things out and see how things are going. And unfortunately, in terms of the Sorrow pursuing us, it left that fragment, it appeared, in our mind when it attacked us the first time. So I don't feel like we can escape it like you could if it was a pursuant that was a physical being of some kind. So I think that that's going to add a sense of urgency, but we will see how things play out. So this doesn't appear to be a good situation. Riz and death of Riz, this person appears to be in a precarious situation, to put it mildly. So we have the Devourer of Wrongs, the death of Riz, and there appears to be this kind of rope-like substance that's entangled him, that's going into his throat. Kind of grisly, if you ask me. So we have the Overseer. Death is nothing. I return from it unscathed, but for the most insignificant part. So, well, let's find out what's going on. So there's people here. Horrified man. I would be horrified, for sure. Intrigued woman. Spectator. Excited man. Levy. These appear to be some kind of... Oh, yeah, they're just the guards. And Tibur. So... as is convention in RPGs, named characters are usually someone that you can interact with that will have something interesting for you. But let's speak to the Overseer first. So Yeen the Overseer, a stout middle-aged man, stands atop the execution platform. So it is an execution. He wears the badge of a city official, and a fringe of dreadlocks hangs down to his shoulders from his otherwise bald pate. I don't remember how to say that word. He gives you a disinterested look as you approach. Please stay back with the others. Huh? What's going on here? He casts a brief glance over his shoulders toward Riz. The prisoner, Riz of Flatwater, is being publicly executed as a warning to all who would flout the laws of Sagus Cliffs. Is it Sagus Cliffs or Sagus? Let's go with Sagus. Well, let's see. What is Riz's crime? Treason. He stole state secrets he sold state secrets to the enemies of Sagus Cliffs. Okay, I think we'll stick with Sagus. So, how does the execution work? He sighs. Another rustic. It is very simple, sir. Our nanos introduce him to a hallucinogenic state. In this state, he experiences visions. Nightmares, really. He speaks of the things he sees, and his words become flesh as they leave his mouth. We shape the flesh into a human-like form, the death you see beside him. He gestures towards the hideous figure, which looks to be made of rotting viscera. As more strands escape his mouth, his death wraps them around him, and they slowly crush the life out of him. Ugh, bad way to go, it sounds like. Once the condemned is dead, the devourer of wrongs will eat his corpse. That's, I think, this guy here. He raises his chin, proud. Thus is justice upheld in Sagus Cliffs. We'll see. So, what do his words mean? He shrugs. Some believe there is wisdom to be gained from the rantings of the condemned. I have never gleaned any. Others say that the torment of the condemned means nothing, but it deters would-be criminals from committing offenses of their own. I've never noticed that to be true either. Okay, well, why does the Devourer of Wrongs eat executed criminals? He smiles, grim. He is of the Dendra Ohur, who can suck the memories of the dead from their marrow. In those memories is not only the proof that the condemned were guilty, but also the names of their compatriots and other associates. Many an accomplice has been found out in the belly of the Devourer. So he's thinking. And of course we can read it. So he says, or thinks, I'm sure Riz wasn't working alone. We'll find all his friends soon enough. So there's a bit of espionage, but not really espionage. It's this internal mechanism where they can glean the thoughts, the past thoughts of those that they execute. So let me ask him something else, see what else there is here. That man over there told me he was involved in Riz's crime. I'm not going to say anything about this. I don't remember having this conversation, and I'm not sure if this is just pointing a finger at someone randomly or if it's a bug in the game. So I'll ask, who are you? He bows slightly. I am Yeen, Overseer of Capital Punishment, charged by the Council with organizing public executions and making sure they run smoothly. Okay. Well, we're going to leave it. He gave us a description of what's going on in terms of this execution that is going on. It seems that we can talk to them, but I wonder... No, I can't walk up these stairs. It won't allow me. Let's see what Tibur has to say. Pacing the edges of the crowd is a paunchy old soldier with a swaggering stride. At the moment, however, his jauntiness seems overshadowed by worry, and he alternates between watching the execution and searching the crowd as if looking for a miracle. Then his eyes light on you. So we can scan his thoughts, fortunately. I've never seen this face before. This might just be the break I need.
I say, you look like someone who believes in justice. How'd you like to help a poor soul wrongfully condemned?
Well, we'll see about that. What kind of help do you need? I don't need anything, but my friend there on the platform is dying. The nightmares his executioners have induced in him spill from him every word he speaks and wrap around him like a snake. He glances at the execution. I know there are but a few strands around him now, but in a few days' time, they'll choke the life out of him. I cannot imagine a more horrible way to die, I agree. He pauses. Well, that's not true. I have an imagination that would shame a sailor. He leans in. You'll need to be swift and willing to hold justice above law, but there is a way to save him if you will hear me out. So, I'm interested in... So it sounds obviously like he, since we could scan his thoughts, that he may be implicated from the extraction of this information from Riz. And whether it's just or not, I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation, but we're going to try and find out, and maybe we can see what happens. All right, well, let's say, who are you? Captain Lanchin Tibir. Retired, he says with a little bow. Extremely retired. Once a soldier of fortune, now its plaything. He takes another look at Riz. But my story can wait. Saving Riz's life comes first. So why is your friend being executed? So the overseer told us that he sold state secrets, but we don't really know what that means or if it's even true. So we'll find out, hopefully. A misunderstanding, he says, waving a dismissive hand. Riz and I were hired to deliver some expensive brandy to an out-of-town buyer. He breathes a sigh, weighted with disgust and regret. Would you believe that the bottles were stuffed with state secrets? Riz was accused of selling information to the enemies of Sagas Cliffs. They called him a traitor. So it may have been Riz or it may have been Tibir. And... we don't know the answer to that question, but he may be innocent as well, so. It was a travesty, he growls, his eyes blazing with righteous fury. The poor lad had no idea what was in there. So, he's thinking, tragic, if he'd known, he might have escaped too, then we wouldn't be in this mess. So he didn't know. So we do know then that he was, Riz was innocent of this crime. It doesn't necessarily sound like Tibir was, though. So it sounds like he may have known what was going on, and he's concerned about his own well-being. And Riz is actually innocent in this case. So, but you did, right? Let's see if he owns up. Well, he says, studying the air over your shoulder. There's a place for talking about what I know and what I don't. This isn't that place. He clears his throat. So, I don't like the idea of him being executed for something he didn't do. So we're gonna see if we can do anything about it, but I'm not gonna hold out too much hope. We'll see. I want to talk to your friend. Are you mad? Tibir sputters. It's an execution. He's surrounded by levies. They won't let you near him. And even if they did, he's out of his head. You'll get nothing but gibberish from him. So he thinks. And if he doesn't speak gibberish, no, best to assume it's gibberish. So once again, it sounds like he's worried about being outed for his own role, potentially, in these crimes. I still want to try. Tibir holds up his hand. As you wish. Just don't say I didn't warn you. The levies are not to be trifled with. So that's in terms of trying to speak to him. We'll see if we try to do that. So if you were part of the scheme, why aren't you up there with him? Luck, he says, shrugging. I was taking a piss when they came for him, went through the back window and scampered up to the roof. He shakes his head. I watched poor Riz being led away from my hiding spot. Swore I'd get him free. I hope it's a promise I can keep. So whether he's simply motivated by his self-interest or not, it's hard to know. But either way, it sounds like the guy is innocent, so we'll see what we can do. So why are you helping Riz? Is friendship not reason enough, he declares. Then his shoulders sag and he hangs up his head. Actually, truth to tell, there's more to it than that. I'm partly to blame for him being up there, and guilt's a strong motivator, eh? So, well, he feels guilty. So what's your plan? Simple one, but it requires nerve. Listen. He lowers his voice. It would be nothing for someone of your noble demeanor to masquerade as a city official. and ask the council clerk for an archived copy of an old stay of execution. Once you have it, I'll write out a fresh one and add Riz's name. Then we'll present it to the overseer here, and poor Riz will be set free. He spreads his hands. There you have it, a foolproof, risk-free plan. I doubt it's foolproof or risk-free, but it does actually sound like a pretty decent plan. It'll be interesting to see how we'll manage to do that, but I do have ways of getting information, and it sounds like there's going to be a little bit of subterfuge involved here, and so maybe we'll be able to make something work. I don't necessarily like the idea of getting the crowd to rise up. He probably wouldn't either, because he probably doesn't want to be exposed himself. Where do I find the county clerk? Just getting right to it, and it sounds like an extremely risky plan. It does sound like a risky plan. Let's see what he says. Nonsense, he says, waving a hand. It couldn't be simpler. Just be calm, confident, and wear a winning smile. He gives you a winning smile. So I have a bit of a concern about this because my character is not particularly good at social interactions necessarily. So I can read minds, that helps, but I don't have the best interaction with people. I can't intimidate people, that's for sure. But we might be able to make something work. All right, so where do I find the council clerk? He'd be in Government Square, of course. There's a podium outside the council tower. I can't think of a time he wasn't there. Okay, well, I think we're going to help him. Excellent. Then you need a proper story and a badge of office. Fortunately, I have the first, and you can buy the second from Sangolin, the clothing merchant in Government Square. Okay, so we need to buy a badge of office. And so he has the first, a proper story. Well, that's great. It's free, I guess. And then we'll buy this badge from Sangolin. So we're going to need to find Sangolin in the clothing merchant in Government Square. He folds his arms. Once you have a badge of office, you will tell the council clerk you are from the Judicial Oversight Committee looking into corruption in the commutation of capital sentences. The stay you're asking for is one of a notorious gangster named Cole Cardin, who was mysteriously set free a few years ago. When you get Cole's stay of execution, I'll make a copy with Riz's name on it, and you can give it to the overseer who will set him free. You see? Simple. He rubs his hands together. Now, if you'll let me join you, I'd be happy to show you around the city and help you with all this. Whatever else you have going. What do you say? Well, let's see. Why don't we bring him on? We'll see kind of what he's like. We can always choose to get rid of him later. So thanks, I could use the help. It will be my pleasure, but let's hurry. There's not a moment to lose. Riz hasn't much time.
I'll remember that.
Okay, so this is Tibir.
Yeah?
Let's take a look. Does he have anything? Now, did we lose all the stuff? I was wondering if we lost the stuff that Alagern had. It looks like we did, which is unfortunate. And I wish we hadn't. But he has a... So let's look at his stats first. So he looks like a jack. 4 might, 5 speed, and 6 intellect. So he's kind of good at... Or he's mediocre at everything. Medium at everything, we should say. So he's tier 1. And it looks like he's 3 steps towards the next... 3 out of 4 steps towards the next tier. So that's 180 experience each time. We're pretty close to getting to the next step for the next tier. Where is she? She is further along than we are as well. So she's at 2 out of 4. We, of course, are at the bottom because we started with a new character. So he has a broadsword, medium melee, melee weapon. Does 3 physical damage. Let's take some look at those details. 3 physical damage plus 4, so pretty good extra damage for the effort, but we can only do it once, so the payoff is better per unit of effort that we're going to expend for it. This gives him evasion, interestingly enough, the shield, rather than armor. And then, he does have armor on. 3 armor and 2 resistance. That's pretty good. And then a cloak. evasion, and willpower. Okay, so let's see if we want to organize anything else. She has a light ranged weapon. Okay. And we had all the potions except for the potion of might that we gave to Alagern. But, you know, maybe we'll be seeing him again. So, Stay of Execution. Let's take a look at this secondary quest. So, a man named Riz is slowly being executed in Circus Minor. His friend Tibir asked me to help save him. Tibir has a plan to forge a Stay of Execution, but he needs my help to get the materials for the forgery and deal with the authorities. We need to acquire a city official's badge from Sangolin in Government Square. So Tibir's plan will require me to impersonate a city official, so I'll need one of the badges that all city officials possess. I can purchase a badge from Sangolin, who runs a clothing shop in Government Square. So we are going to do that. Let's see if we can't... See if I can't talk to him from here. Doesn't appear that I can. No. It doesn't allow me. Let's see. Let's take a look at the map. So here's where the exit is, to the Reef of Fallen Worlds. Prada. Execution ground. Here's us. And... so let's go ahead and take a look around. I'm going to go to the Journal, the Codex again here quickly. So Circus Minor. One of the prime markets in Sagus Cliffs, Circus Minor plays host to all manner of itinerant merchants and city spectacles. At its heart stands the clock, the machine once said to have unmoored the city in time during an invasion. All manner of public events happen here, traveling, religious revivals, executions, performances, and more. It sits near the bottom of the city, very near the Reef of Fallen Worlds where we came from. We don't say anything about the government district because we haven't been there yet. This is where we were, Reef of Fallen Worlds. We won't go over that just yet. See anything about Tibir. A charming rogue, a former mercenary, and an admitted confidence man, but not necessarily the bravest. He's quick with a blade, faster with his tongue, and prefers to lead from behind. Okay. Alright, let's walk around, take a look. Lots of people here. Maybe we'll do some shopping, some general shopping later. We can apparently interact with whatever this is. I don't know if this is that clock that it was talking about. It says, nope. Oh, maybe the clock is over here. So I'm going to try this. Nycthermeron. See what happens when we click on it. You inch closer to the lattice of energy that holds the creature, and as you lean in, the ugly glaive with a sledgehammer slung over his shoulder shouts at you. Oi, no gawking for free. Pay Elginto or get gone. He glowers at you, hand reaching for the haft of his hammer until you step away from the cage. So, we apparently can't interact with it just yet. I think we'll leave it for now. Oh boy.
Sure enough.
So here's some changing god cultists. So it appears that they're at least welcome out in public. They're not shunned to that extent where
As you wish.
they can't show their faces. And it also looks like they clearly have some kind of recognizable... Oh.
Yes.
We'll get you out of there. Uh-oh. Look, it is one of the Death Cheater's vessels. Oh boy. Well, I wasn't really wanting to talk to them. They don't appear to be too aggressive in capturing me. So we know where they are. We'll leave them for now. This is Casmina Mimion, cultist encampment. So did we learn where the government square was? Let's go to the journal. No, it doesn't say.
Fine.
Maybe it's up here.
Go.
It'll say on the map. To Government Square, that's right. Okay, so we find ourselves in Government Square. I haven't been here before. So we're going to be looking for a clothing merchant, Sangolin. And I think before we do that, I'm going to take a 5-minute break. Just go to the bathroom, stuff like that. And we will be back shortly. Okay, great. See you in a minute. All right, we're back. Got some more tea. Let's continue. So we are looking for Sangolin, a clothing merchant. So we'll see if we can locate him. Return to game. So we're going to have ourselves as the active character. Oh, there he is, right at the front. So, I guess we'll just go ahead and talk to him. A tall, thin, and exquisitely dressed older man stands in the shade of an exquisitely crafted stall. The cut, color, and quality of his clothes are a symphony of harmonious coordination, while the expression of benevolent condescension he gives you would be more at home on the face of a king. Good afternoon, he says, bowing slightly. I am Sangolin, and this is my store, Sangolin's Fittings. Welcome. How may I be of service? What do you sell here? I sell the finest city wear for discerning men and women, as well as quality armor for those traveling to less civilized locales. He clears his throat and directs your attention to a well-dressed mannequin wearing the badge of a city official. Also, it is our honor to have been chosen by the city of Sagus Cliffs with the official badges worn by all properly credentialed city employees. You may trust in their trust in us. So, I can try to steal it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not very good at that. Let's take a look at what he has to sell, just generally. So Sangolin has, looks like armor, so an Avatrol leather jerkin, for instance. So we are wearing... Our armor gives us 3 resistance, and the value to sell is 6 shin. We have 68 shin, not a whole lot. And he's selling this stuff for 20. Now, I don't know how we tell if it's compatible. Oh, only usable by the last cast-off. Interesting. I wonder... Oh, shit. I didn't mean to buy it. Okay, well, maybe someone else will be able to use that armor later on. So, we have 3 resistance here. Plate armor. Value is 80. Micromesh, light armor. 2 armor and 3 resistance. So I don't know if I would want to switch to this. Maybe it's only usable by the last cast off. So that is unfortunate. I can't apparently. All of these say that, which is interesting. Or what happens if I switch? Oh, once you buy it, it appears that they are only usable by the person you buy it for. Which is interesting. A shield. So we could get a shield. I don't know if we have to be proficient or anything. Are they the same? Shield and shield. Yeah, they are. So we have our ciphers. We have the armor here that we bought. I wouldn't mind switching to this. It wouldn't be terrible to have some physical armor as well. I think we're going to see about getting a shield as well. They're not that expensive. So, yep, if I double click, it just buys it. So this is the same as what we're wearing now. and its value is the same. So we're going to close up that shop, go to our inventory, and I guess we will equip this, because why not? Value is 12, value is 20. It is ostensibly worth more, so it's technically an upgrade. Let's see if I can equip this shield. It appears that I cannot equip it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I can have both. So that's good. So, what happens when let's see, my stats change? Yes, it does make the difference, which is nice. I'm happy about that. I don't know if it gives us any negatives. It doesn't say. Doesn't say. Okay, well, I feel a little more protected there with our shield, and we have our sheath, or our dagger as well. What does hers do? 1 armor and 2 resistance. That's what we just upgraded to accidentally. And she has a cloak that gives her willpower, and then, of course, her weapon. What is he wearing? Again, 3 armor and 2 resistance. That's pretty good. That's better than what we have, I believe. This loose-fitting shirt belongs to Tibir. It offers limited protection, but it makes him look dashing and roguish. That's what really matters, at least to him. His cloak gives him evasion and willpower. He has a broadsword and a shield as well. So, we'll hold on to our armor for now. And we'll try out this leather armor here. And we still need to get that official badge. So let's see. Can I buy an official city badge? He says, city badges are not for sale to anyone. They are given to duly elected or appointed public servants of Sagas Cliffs, and it is illegal for me to give them to anyone who does not work for the city. I would be breaking the law. He considers. Of course, most public servants do offer me some remuneration for the materials, but no, I would not take the risk, nor betray my trust. Too risky. About 80 shins worth of risk, I'd wager. We don't have 80 shins. But we know how much we could buy him for. Tibir says, but you won't be breaking the law. My friend here has just been made undersecretary to Overseer Yin. A messenger should be coming shortly with the letter of commission. But you know how Yin is, always a bit sloppy with his paperwork. So we can lie and say that's all right, Tibir. He'll hear soon enough. Thank you, Tibir, but asking too much of this gentleman, perhaps we could mitigate the risk to him. Thank you, Tibir, but there's no need to press the issue. Let's talk about something else. So we can try to lie here. I don't know if we want to. We are doing it to save someone who's innocent. So let's give it a go. See what happens. Okay, so we have to use intellect, and we have a pretty low. So 35, and he has 60 right off the bat. He doesn't have much of a pool, but we might as well go with him, and we'll use that pool to make it successful, 100%. So, of course not, sir. I know too well the slowness of the city bureaucracy. I'll wrap up a badge for you right now. He smiles.
I'll remember that.
Is that all for today? Can I interest you in our fine collection of armor, perhaps? Well, I already bought some armor, so I think that's fine. I'm not going to ask him about Government Square right now, so let's check out our inventory. It is a quest item. This metal badge was meant to be worn by a city official of Sagas, Cliffs. It is inscribed with the seal of the Protector. So we have our badge. That's great. Quest items are common to the whole party. We didn't have enough to bribe him, but it looks like the lying worked. So, at this point now, let's check our journal and see what the next steps are for our stay of execution. So, acquire an old stay of execution from the council clerk. Now that I have the badge of a city official, I can try to obtain an old stay of execution from the council clerk in Government Square. Tibir wants a copy of the document that pardoned a notorious gangster, Cole Carden. All right, so we need to find the council clerk that's here in Government Square. So let's see if we can find anything. There's the council clerk. Appears to be a lineup or a bunch of people, petitioners. But I am ostensibly an employee, so I don't know if I have to wear this. Nope, sure don't. Behind a lectern, a four-eyed, hairless mutant processes paper with balletic grace. He's endlessly snapping the elegant fingers of his left hand, and each time the air twists and shimmers, either disgorging a document to be processed or accepting one that he's completed with his ink-stained right hand. Each of his eyes regards a distinct object, portals that are opening, preambles and recitals that must be reviewed, his own addenda that must be flawless. One eye twitches in your direction. Exaggerated scorn twists his mouth, and though his eye remains fixed on your face, he gives no verbal acknowledgement. The closest he comes is a faint sigh. At last, after shunting half a dozen more documents to some distant cubby, he condescends to you to speak. You must wait, of course, until council matters conclude. His quarter gaze leaves you. His face returns to his former equanimity, and he continues his work, which shows no evidence of slacking, let alone concluding. So, let's see. I'm not very good at intimidation, so we probably won't try that. Maybe. Is there anything I can do to hurry this along? How long do you expect council business to take? And I'd just like to talk to you for a short moment. So let's see what he says. The clerk continues filing and filing papers for a rather long moment. Just when it seems he will not respond at all, he answers, I have no time for idle chit-chat, least of all while there is pressing council business to attend to. Is there anything I can do to hurry things along? The clerk continues his masterful shuffling of papers from one portal to another, flicking a closed scroll through a gateway with a particularly deft gesture. Then he turns not one, but two eyes your way. If you are inquiring whether I would let your sweating butcher's fingers touch the council's paperwork, I fear for the state of your mind. His eyes look away and he adds, Of course, it is customary to render a small gratuity in thanks to civil service. One eye quickly glances back. So, what exactly is the customary gratuity? So he wants us to bribe him, essentially. Without so much as a shrug of his shoulders or an inflection that would acknowledge impropriety, let alone shame, the clerk announces, 60 shins. Well, we don't have 60 shins, so that could be a problem. So, let's see. Let's try Persuasion to see what happens. So, we are not very persuasive, neither is she. We can try Tibir again. Let's try what happens here. Sounds like we were successful. The clerk conveys his personal regard for the importance of your matters with a long, loud sigh, but he focuses one of his eyes on you and replies, Very well, very well. Let us weigh the worth of your needs, shall we? What is it you want? And I'd like to talk about paperwork. A faint sigh is the only acknowledgement you receive. So, I don't want this. I guess I have to do deception. So I'm a special liaison from the Judicial Oversight Committee, and I need to inspect a stay of execution issued for Cole Cardin. There are concerns of corruption, so this is part of our plan that Tibir came up with. So let's hope that we are able to be successful. So at this point, you know what? I'm going to take full responsibility. And at 75%, we'll see how lucky we are. We were successful. We had to invest 3 of our intelligence pool into that. So the clerk hesitates for a moment, then shrugs. It happens that the letter was consigned to destruction by year's end anyway, given the confirmation of Cardin's demise. With a snap of fingers, a letter appears, and he looks it over. Yes, here we are. Quite the criminal he was, and no slouch in treason, but who am I to question the clemency of our peerless council? He hands it off to you with a slight sniff. So Tibir says, "Let me check it for errors," Tibir snaps with an angry look at the clerk. "Of course, I shouldn't have to, but we wouldn't be here today if a mistake hadn't been made by someone in a position of authority." So, I'm wondering if he has a plan to do this. So I'm not going to ask him why he's provoking him. I'm going to say, "You delightful maniac." Tibir chuckles low in his chest. "I think we're going to get along well, you and I." You feel him writing something on the document, presumably Riz's name, before slipping it into your pouch and giving a polite little cough to catch the council clerk's attention. "Everything appears to be in order," he says, mouth set in a stern line. "I meant no offense, of course."
Making a note.
So, the clerk turns a single angry eye Tibir's way. "Of course I understand," he says, his voice shaking. The eye moves to you. "Do we have any other matters to discuss? I am quite busy today." So, I don't really want to ask him. Well, we'll see what the questions are. I'm not going to go through any of these right now. We're going to go farewell. The clerk gives no acknowledgement that he heard and merely continues with his work. So, let's check our inventory. We have our forged letter of pardon. So Tibir forged this letter of pardon for Riz. The signatures appear legitimate and the language is impressively official. You're no expert, but it looks like a believable forgery. So yeah, he is a jack of all trades, and his intellect was pretty decent. So it sounds like he would have some competency in this way. So let's go to the journal. And stay of execution. So, attempt to free Riz. Tibir has forged a stay of execution for Riz. Now I can bring it to the overseer of the execution and tell him to release the prisoner. I think time's a-wasting. So we want to get to him. He was in a very precarious situation.
Ready.
All right. Head down. Back to the overseer. Let's see if we are able to make any progress with him.
Fair enough.
So we look a little different now, of course, with our armor. I do like these
I'm going.
representations. They look pretty good. All right. Well, let's talk to him. See what happens. The official gives you an annoyed look. "What is it now?" So, we can say this man has a full pardon. Release him immediately. So, we're just going to say that.
Making a note.
He scowls at you. "You were here before, and you didn't have that badge. Do you work for the city or not?" So, this might be a problem. Let's talk about something else. Yeah, whatever. What are you talking about? What's going on? "I was undercover before testing you. You did very well, but now I want this man released immediately." Okay, so I'm lying. Let's get Tibir to help here. And I want to free this man, so we are going to use his intellect to do so. I might regret using these later on, but that's fine. I wanted to make sure we got through these deception checks. He gives a skeptical glance, then looks over at the stay of execution, paying close attention to the signature. Finally, he shrugs. "Fine. One moment." He turns and calls to the levies. "Unmake the death of the condemned and set him free. He is pardoned." And like that, Riz is freed. Oh, we got a leather jerkin. Lucky us. So he turns back to you and bows. "There you are, sir, all taken care of. Oh, wait." He reaches into his robes and pulls out a smallish bundle. "And here are his personal effects, which we were going to give to the poor." So, probably not. Sounds like they were probably just going to steal them for themselves. But, well, this is fortunate. We gained enough experience to level up, so we're going to get a chance to do that. We'll talk to Riz first, though, as we kind of have to. As the levies march off and the crowd disperses, Riz steadies himself, not quite recovered from his ordeal. Finally, he raises his head and focuses on you. If you're the one who got me out of this nightmare, thank you. But where's that? His eyes settle on Tibir. There you are, you slippery bastard. Now where's the money? If I went through that hell for nothing, I'll... And he has some thoughts. The bastard left me out to dry, I know it, which actually isn't true. He worked pretty hard to free Riz. Now, some of it was probably out of his own self-interest, it sounds like. But he did talk about having some guilt, and we did scan his thoughts, and we know that he did genuinely feel guilty for Riz's situation. So maybe we can address this situation, but who knows? He chokes with emotion. A whole day, Tibir. I spilled my guts up there for a whole day. He steps back, spreading his hands. Yes, about the money. You see, Riz, I was hoping to get a reward for turning in the fellow who sold us that brandy without telling us about its secrets, but... But, Riz snarls, there's always a but when it comes to money, isn't there? I should have known. You only said you'd pay me so I wouldn't squeal on you, and you only saved my skin to save your own. We know that that's partially true, but not entirely. He smacks his fists together. Now I'm going to have to fight through your friend to get to you, or are you going to step out from behind him and take it like a man? So, calm down, both of you. Riz, tell it from the beginning. This is no fight of mine. Work it out yourselves, or I don't have time to listen to this. So we'll let Riz tell the story from the beginning, see what happens. So our indigo tide raised by a moderate amount and blue tide raised by a tiny amount. I don't know what these mean yet. Maybe there's a place that will look in the codex. Maybe there's some information. Riz spits, then wipes his lips. There isn't much to tell. Captain Silvertongue here talked me into a dirty job, then disappeared like an abikos and left me holding the bag when it all went sour. Oh, Riz, says Tibir. Can you blame me for running when I had the chance? You would have done the same. And besides, if I hadn't, we would have both been sentenced to die with no one to free either of us. So lucky that, if my tattooed friend hadn't come along, we'd both be executed in any case. So it is true that, none of this would have happened. And he is acting in self-interest, but ultimately Riz is free due to it. So, not dying is a pretty good outcome in this case for Riz, it sounds like. He stabs a finger in Tibir's face. You only wanted to free me because you knew you'd be the next on the block once the Devourer ate me. So, the Devourer would have found you guilty. I'm with Riz on this, Tibir. You should make amends to him. He's the one who suffered here. I do agree, but we know that he did feel guilty as well. So it wasn't totally motivated by selfish reasons. So indigo tide raised a small amount, gold tide raised a tiny amount. So there's gold tide as well. So we've got blue, silver, gold, and indigo, if I remember all the tide types that we have encountered so far. That's right, Riz snarls, and you can start by giving me my share of the spoils. Riz, you don't know what you're talking about. I never got paid, I promise you. And, well, there's a chance he didn't. This isn't over, you self-serving bastard. Riz jabs a finger in Tibir's place. Hide behind your friend if you like, but he won't keep you safe forever. So he's pretty upset, but he is alive. So we will probably encounter him later. Maybe he'll get a chance to cool down. He might get angrier. Maybe he'll make a plan to attack Tibir. So let's go through and check out our inventory. So we did free him. He didn't seem very thankful, but he might change his tune a little bit down the road. Okay, so it's taking us through advancement. So let's read a little bit about this. So spend your experience points by clicking the plus icon next to your experience meter on the left side of the screen. You can choose between 4 advancement steps. Once you gain all 4 steps, you will increase your tier, unlocking a new selection of abilities and other bonuses. So we're able to spend them, it appears, perhaps on our stats or whatever. And after 4 advancement steps, when you gain all 4 steps, you increase your tier. So 4 advancement steps, we'll find out what those are. And then we'll get new abilities and other bonuses. So I'm interested in what those abilities might be. Let's check out what we get here. Okay, so select one of the following options to spend your experience points. You can select each option once per tier. So we had 9 intellect. So we can increase our stat pools. That's our might, our speed, and our intellect. We can increase edge. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's these here. Extra effort, so we can expend extra effort. Or we can get an ability or skill. I'm tempted to get another ability. I feel like we haven't really expended these that much, but we're not that far into the game, so we'll see how that goes. And I don't know if I can go back once I choose something. I don't know what increase edge is, so that's unfortunate. But it might be something with the defenses or whatnot. But I would really like to pick up, I think, a new ability. So let's do that. I can only increase this one. Let's cancel. It seems that I can go back. So increase edge. Increase the edge in the pool of your choice. Okay, so when we do a check, basically, how likely are we to be successful with or without effort? So, for instance, speed is one that we have used occasionally with our light fingers. It seems like that's the basis for that one. So edge provides a bonus to all tasks and challenges that use a particular stat. So one of our might, speed, or intellect. For each point of edge in that stat, you can use one level of effort at no stat pool cost. Edge also reduces the activation cost of abilities, eventually making some free to activate. So that's interesting. So if we were to choose intellect and really double down on that, then we could potentially lower the cost of our spells that we have. Extra effort. Increase your max effort. No, I don't want to do that now. It's probably a good thing, but it's kind of boring, I feel like. And increasing stat pools also feels kind of boring to me. So, you can choose. Let's check out the skills. I do like increasing the skills as well. But we could get a new skill. We could go with the lore. We could go with perception. What does perception do? Unlocks conversation options. Ooh. We don't have intimidation. We're poor at intimidating. So it's a different kind of persuasion, as it says. But we're already kind of poor with people. That was part of our character. We're a bit of a recluse. But being able to read thoughts is good, and I like the fact that we can use it in conversation to make our decisions. And this will make it more, give us more advantages in conversations where we can talk more. And it's kind of going after part of one of the weaknesses of our character, which is our ability to interact with people. Quick fingers was something that came up quite often, so that could be useful. Healing, persuasion, so we've been doing that a little bit. Running, stealth. I do like the idea of stealth, but I haven't really used it yet on the hide ability. Perhaps we could focus more on spells or something later on that allow us to teleport around. If I went to ability, it didn't give me a new one. Select an ability to improve, yeah. Increases its accuracy. So this would make this a better damaging spell. I like the idea of choosing a skill. I think that's what we're going to do to level up. I'm going to spread it out a little bit. Concentration, we haven't made use of this yet, so I'm not going to do anything with that yet. Perception, so conversation options and 15% bonus per level on difficult tasks marked with this skill. So we will be able to see things better. So I'm okay with doing that. We could improve our initiative. We could get the machinery lore and anamnesis. The last cast off can access the memories of previous consciousness. This skill represents your focus and acumen when attempting to recall those experiences. So that could be an interesting route to go down as well. I've really appreciated those bits of information about the past of our character, and we've also benefited a lot when we've made use of them. So we've gotten items and bits of information as well. So it's hard to choose between this and perception. I'm not sure what I want to do. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to make a choice here. I like the perception. We're gonna do that and hope that pays off.
Did I learn that? remember it.
Okay, great. So I think we can level up the others. No, we can't. No, we can't level them up either. So that's fine. She's trained in that. And we haven't really looked at his skills. So we're going to stop now. And we just finished our leveling up. So we're going to stop here. And thank you for coming by and watching. And we freed Riz. And hopefully he cools down a little bit and we're able to talk to him later. And maybe he'll have something for us. But I will leave it there. And once again, thanks for joining.